One of Deepwoken's biggest issues currently is Voidwalker, the origin based around killing people for EXP. It is extremely flawed for not only the Voidwalker, but the person being Voidwalked, and we are going to talk about it. One of the major issues that a lot of people have when it comes to Voidwalker is the effect it has on new players. You see, as a new player, when you're getting Voidwalked, they have a couple of options. They could either leave the game, run away, or die trying. Now, the point of Voidwalker is to not only get the Voidwalker better at PvP, but to also get the person being Voidwalked better at PvP. Now, clearly, when you leave the game or run away, it doesn't help you get better at PvP. Now, this results as the new player, maybe he's been having a hard time trying to get accustomed to the game. You know, they go to lower Arisia, they're struggling with the bandits there, and then they keep getting Voidwalked and keep getting sent to death, and they keep wiping builds. This is gonna result in a lot of new players quitting the game. Let's give a different person. Let's say that new player becomes a Voidwalker. Let's say that new player was like, all right, you know what? I want to be the Voidwalker. I want to be the one who tries to go into PvP. And they're currently like power, let's say they got the power 13 as a Voidwalker. Now, boom. On the bounty board, they have a person relatively to the same stars, 3-star, no oath. Power 13 versus power 15, let's say. Who do you think will win? You might say, oh, it's an even fight. It can go either way. But what if I got power 15 had a curved blade of wind, prophet's cloak, level 5 monsters, and all you had was a base sword and a Voidwalking starting armor? Now who would win? Probably the power 15, right? You see, the biggest issue that Voidwalker has is the power creep between low level players, high level players, min-max players, new players, experienced players. The power creep in Deepwoken is extremely bad. A power 18, there's a reason why they say you're not max level when you're like power 19 or even power 20. It's because you're not min-max. You don't have your weapon, you don't have your armor, you don't have your monsters leveled up, and you're still underpowered versus somebody who's a Silent Heart with every single buff in the entire game. Now, some solutions I've heard in the past are remove the entire killing aspect, but then that kind of ruins the Voidwalker experience. You see, when you become a Voidwalker, you hit max level, you get the aspect of ganking players easier, right? You get to find ganks much faster than you would wandering around the overworld. If you remove the killing aspects, you would completely remove the ganking aspect from Voidwalker entirely. Now, there's also a couple more things. Like, let's say they get knocked and they die regardless. Well, it made no difference now. Or let's say you beat the Voidwalker. Let's say you're getting Voidwalked, you beat the Voidwalker, who is way more powered than you, and you get a mediocre reward. Does that seem worth it to you? No, it doesn't. Now, Voidwalker has its own flaw, being a Voidwalker even when you are experienced. And that's the fact that the progression for Voidwalker is terrible. You could spend hours trying to find a singular bounty just for that player to log. You spend another hour, and let's say you finally do kill him. You get like one level. You just spent 2 hours to get from power 13 to power 14. That makes no sense when you could just go to Hive, Songseeker, Minotirza, Ferryman. There's all the overworld options that are currently in the game are better than Voidwalking. There's literally no point to Voidwalking besides getting better at PvP. And it doesn't help that Chime of Conflict is fucking horrible. So if you're trying to use Voidwalker to progress and get better at PvP at the same time, you're going to be progressing builds 10 times slower than you really need to. And it just makes zero sense. You see, the main reason to want to be a Voidwalker is you get the Void Eye, right? You get the store, you get the Antiquarium, you get the Mystic, you get the Well, you get the armor, you get the training items, you get the blacks, and then you get easy ganks. I don't know, man. Voidwalking has always been flawed since day one. A lot of people have hated Voidwalkers and wanted it removed. There's one solution that I can currently think of, but it's really still flawed. It's really hard to make Voidwalker feel rewarding, but there's one solution that I have that you could do, and that's the option to take the player's life. You see, some things in Deepwoken, whenever you get super glitched out, you don't lose a life for it. You may die, you may lose items, but you don't lose a life. You keep your life and you keep the same items, blah, blah, blah. Voidwalker could have the option to where you could take people's lives or you don't take people's lives. So they may still lose items, but at least they'll not go to the depths. At least they'll still have that extra life, and it wouldn't hurt them that bad. And you could turn it off and on. But besides that, I can't think of many things that make that you could do to make Voidwalking better. I could just be rambling. I don't know. I'm kind of an interesting guy.